Happy Self Love Sunday. I am Tarnisha Mosas, your host of Self Love Sunday, your vision strategist coach who comes every single Sunday so we can talk about all the ways in which you can better your best. Now, listen, last week we rose. We came out of silence, out of shame, out of the soil. And now the question is now that you've risen, what are you becoming? I'm going to ask you that again. Now that you have risen, what are you becoming? Most people stop at the resurrection, but true purpose begins after the breakthrough. That's where becoming starts. Who are you becoming? What are you becoming? Not with applause, but with alignment. This is where in this season, I want you to stop looking for the applause of man and get into alignment. It's going to be so crucial for you in this season because, I don't know about many of you, but I actually watched Colorado Buffs. So I'm talking about football. I watched college football and I got to watch, and why did I start watching it? I'm very honest because I am an Eagles fan. And I never really watched college football. I watched it because of Deion Sanders, of course, right? And I got to see him actually in person when he came to a conference that I was at last year that I'm actually going back to called the Cry Out Conference with Pastor Keon Henderson. What I love is the confidence that he has instilled in his children, because if they were looking for the applause of man, I'm going to tell you his son would have been very broken this week because of the fact of the NFL decided not to draft him until the fifth round. Now, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about it, in terms of some people thought he should have been a first round pick. Some people thought the second round. NFL has something completely, totally different in mind. And I think that most people were okay with him not getting drafted the first or second round originally, even I think partially the third round, but it was when they selected someone else ahead of him that other people deemed as better is when the conversations really started to happen. And could you imagine if that kid would have allowed himself to become deflated and say, well, I'm not enough, there isn't enough, I'm not worthy, if the NFL, because the NFL didn't choose him earlier versus later. This is why, it was such a great example this week. And if for those of you who watch and for those of you who didn't, I get that you're like, what? But it was such a great example of trusting God's timing as well as he's up to something. And so if he was looking for the applause, because in the beginning on day one, he had this big production party, he had this big box, all these things. You have people. This is what I don't understand about people. You have people talking about he needs to be humble. You don't know him. What we do know about him, though, is that he's a great student. He is a great athlete. We know he comes from great stock. From everyone who's talked to him personally, they had a different view. It's so interesting, particularly when I hear people say he needs to be humble. No, the thing is, you need to have more confidence in yourself. So when you don't know how to operate from a place of confidence, not arrogance, a place from alignment, knowing what's truly for you, you will think that other people are arrogant. Simply not the truth. Simply not the truth. He needs to be knocked off his high horse. It's because you don't know what it's like to be on, to stand for something, to stand up for something, to believe in something, to have faith in something. This is what being in alignment is all about. And here's what I know about you. If you're watching this video, you're absolutely tired of this survival mode, tired of not being in alignment, tired of not showing up for yourself, tired of thinking that I'm not enough or I'm not worthy because there is no applause. You're done with just trying to make it. You're ready to become the version of you that walks in truth, in peace, in purpose, and finally stop shrinking to fit an old story. I love what that kid said. He said, all I needed was an opportunity. Originally, if you, again, I've been following him for a while, and Shador Sanders, and he said, it doesn't matter where you get drafted, it matters how you show up. And it's the same exact thing for each and every one of you. It doesn't matter when God gives you your start. How are you going to show up and you're going to show out when you get your opportunity? How many times have you practiced? Listen, I think about me coming here doing these YouTube videos, and I think about the fact that one day I'm going to be speaking in front of, thousands, sometimes even millions of people. But it's how I show up now when no one's really watching. No one cares. Let me tell you something. I could have easily forgotten about doing the video this week. I'm literally going to an appointment. I'm going to get my hair done. And I could have said, you know what? I'm not going to do the video. But I chose to be in alignment and integrity with who I say I am while I'm working on becoming the woman that is going to speak to the thousands. I'm already speaking to hundreds here for my subscribers. And with that, please like, share, subscribe, because I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. But it's about you, and it's not, I'm doing it from a place of survival. I'm doing this from a place of, this is what I love. That's what being in alignment is. When they talk about doing the things you love versus doing what other people are telling you to do, it's not about the fact that, because people say don't chase your passions. It's not about chasing your passions. It's about doing what lights you up. And when you get into that energy, that shift of, man, I love this thing, it comes off completely, totally different. That's why it's so important that you love what you do. Now, I'm going to be honest. Everything you love, will it make you money right off the bat? No. However, money is a byproduct of the way that you show up. How do you show up? Who are you becoming? And if you are in alignment. And so and it's not from a hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind space, because you weren't resurrected to hustle. You were resurrected to remember. And becoming isn't about proving, it's about returning. So let's talk about it, because becoming has been sold to us as a battle, as a hustle, fight, all these things, as something that only matters if you bleed for it. Now, this is the interesting part, and I'm going to keep using this analogy. What happens though if you surrender to it? So again, thinking about the draft this week, they had the big parties, they had everything set up. They thought he was going in the first round. They had to surrender to God's will. He didn't go and battle. He didn't go and fight. He surrendered. God, if wherever you say I'm going, that's where I'm going. Okay, I'm going 144th pick. We don't know why that is. We don't know if God had a plan to expose some things. Y'all got to think deeper sometime. And I want you to know that the way they sold becoming to us as this battle, as this grind, as this hustle, and you got to bleed for it, that's not the truth for you anymore. Not in this season. Not after everything you've already survived. Aren't you tired of that? What if becoming was never meant to feel like punishment, but because of those we listen to, we think that it is? What if it was designed to feel like peaceful permission? What was the divine design to feel like peaceful surrender? Now, this doesn't mean that we're not doing any actions. It's how we're going about the actions. The slow, sacred unfolding of who you already are underneath all the noise that plagues your mind, all the noise that's out there. Again, thinking about the driver, so many, I'm watching these videos. There's some horrible people out here in this world because they don't love themselves and they don't understand what it's like to walk with God truthfully. They don't understand what it's like that humble yourself upon man. There's nowhere that says that in the Bible. And what you think humble is supposed to look like, that's not what it's supposed to look like. That's what they told you. You don't believe in you. And it's so interesting. Most of the people who are making these comments haven't even done anything for themselves, done anything for their family lineage. They don't know what it's like to come from a place of privilege. And it is a privilege to be Deion Sanders' son. So he has a different mentality. And it's so sad that we want to bring on slave mentality onto him and his family. Well, Deion already slaved away. And that's how it's supposed to be for us too. We're supposed to, well, listen, some of us slaved away for our children. We worked hard. We did the grind. We've done that. Aren't they allowed to walk in peace? Aren't they allowed to walk? And these are grown people doing this to this kid. But you're upset because you didn't do what you wanted to do for your family lineage. This kid has great grades. He's not in trouble with the law. You guys will celebrate these. And again, I'm not putting this young kid down that plays for I think he plays for the Timberwolves, Anthony. He's around baby making everywhere. Got a new girl pregnant, don't want to claim the baby. Listen, that's a character flaw. But you appraise this young man. And you are knocked down. And it's the same thing with Travis Hunter. These are good kids. And they're not perfect kids. And we're all far from perfect. But y'all want to see him fall from grace. You need to work on your mind. Some of you are really sick minded. But yet, if someone said the same things about you and your children, you would be so upset about it. We got to start to think about these things. And we're so out. When you start to do that, when you're gossiping and talking bad about people, you're so out of alignment. So out of alignment. But here's the myth: you need to earn your evolution. You need to earn who you're becoming. You need to earn. But your evolution begins when you trust that you are already enough. If some of you people started to believe that you were already enough, you wouldn't even be thinking about some of the things that you're thinking, saying some of the things you're saying. Just wouldn't, because you so busy thinking you have to fix yourself. You don't. You have to find yourself. When I mean by find yourself, what's beneath the things that are holding you back? What is beneath the performing? What is beneath the proving? What is beneath the pressure to be on all the time? What is beneath that? Because when you get to the core of that, you're gonna find you. You know, so it was. I have a coach that works for me. He runs my accountability calls in the morning, and we were having this conversation because he's an amazing accountability coach, and he's also working on his Audible book, and he's very frustrated by it because there's some things that has happened. It hasn't panned out right. ChatGPT doesn't always have all the answers, contrary to what everybody believes when it comes to certain things, and he was so upset about it. And I said, what if you were supposed to fall in love with the process of having these things fall out, so that when somebody comes to you and the next person that comes and you're coaching, they want to know how to do an Audible book? Guess what you can tell them? You can tell them the process. You can show them what you did wrong and how to actually fix it. Not everybody has the ability or the abundance to pay somebody to do something. Sometimes you have to figure this thing out on your own. Okay. And again, some things are not Googleable and some things are not in Chat GPT. So guess what? You now know the process. You now have the answer to somebody's problem. And when you have an answer to somebody's problem, when you are their solution, they're going to pay you for it. That was a clue for somebody. When you have the answer for somebody's problem, they're going to pay you for it. So here's the thing. I want to invite a little shift for you this week, because we need to shift our mindsets, right? I hate to keep going back to them too, but the Sanders family had to shift their mindset. They had to shift their mindset for number one pick in the party and thinking about feeling embarrassed because all the people was there in the room. They had people fly out. They had to shift their mindsets. Sometimes when we need to get to a place of surrender, so you know that God is in it, we have the hands up. That's why I keep throwing my hands up. Surrender. Okay, so let's surrender this mindset shift. This week, instead of hustling harder, what if you got quiet enough to hear what what you're becoming really feels like, right? What it really sounds like. What is it gonna be? That's why I was doing the fast. And every single month I do a fast. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in May yet, because I'm actually starting tomorrow going to be doing water only, because I'm going to a conference, and that's what I do. I fast. I get off social media, and it's just me and God. What if you did that? What if you got quiet enough? What if you got off social media? What if you turned off the porn? What if you got away from all the naysayers? What if you just stepped away from the party for a second? Listen, I'm all about living. Don't get it twisted. And if you're just hustle, grind, and nothing is working out, maybe you need to step away from it for a little while. And why did I mention porn? Because people are going to be like, what? Yeah, the reason why I mention that is what I'm talking about is those things that plague your mind, those things that call out your flesh. Get away from the drinking for a second. Get away from the weed and whatever else that you're smoking. What if you just got away from it for a minute? Just you and God. Just you and God. And just allow yourself to hear instead of allowing yourself to get high and feel high off of things that truthfully are not going to change your life or your way of being and get you into alignment. I said it. Okay. I want you to, not the loud voice that says you're behind too, not the fear, because that's a fear that says you're too late. Man, if that kid would have let fear really set in, I know he was disappointed. That's a difference. You can be disappointed in things. We all get, our expectations kill us. Not until, like, when they talk about what kills us in relationships is our expectation. You started to date somebody, you expected to be with them for the rest of your life. Why? So that's the thing. It's the fear. But now we get to listen to that still small voice that says, "You're becoming right now, and it's beautiful. You're becoming right now, and it's beautiful." Put it in the comments. I am becoming right now, and it's beautiful. Okay. So here's our new blueprint. Okay, here's our new blueprint. I want you to think about it. Like, I want you to write this down. Make this something that you say to yourself every single morning, or when you feeling like I gotta hustle, or you, because it's gonna feel uncomfortable for you to operate from a place of stillness and peace. Because we're still moving every single day, right? I talk to my clients all the time. We're still moving, but we're not doing it from this anxious, anxiety type place. It's really from a peaceful state of knowing that if God already created, listen, God already knew the end before he created the beginning, then we good. We here. He already know we destined for success. You already know what's coming. We good. We good. But if you start to feel, because I get that, sometimes I can feel it too. So when you start to feel like, oh, a little anxiety come up, this is what I want you to say. I no longer chase readiness. I embody worthiness. I no longer chase readiness. I embody worthiness. I don't build from fear. I move from fullness. I don't build from fear. I move from fullness. I don't wait for clarity. I create it by deciding. Come on, y'all. I don't wait for clarity. I create it by deciding. What are you going to decide today? You have so many options and so many choices. It's your mindset, it's the people that you're around, it's what you've been listening to that tells you that that is not the truth. I'm here to tell you that you have options. Sometimes we have blinders on. That's why we get a coach. That's why we get in community. Here's the thing. I start off at $322 a month as a welfare mother. Okay? Living in the inner city. You know how much work I had to do to unlearn so I can show up and have my business show up, to be in corporate America in management, to show up for my family as a mother, to show up as a daughter, to show up as a coach. I had to unlearn all the things I thought it was hustle, hustle, grind, grind. Listen, it didn't go out. I worked 2 and 3 jobs. It didn't get me further. But when I started to co-create with God, when I started to embody that worthiness, when I started to move from fullness, when I started to create by deciding who it was that I was going to be, I know who I'm becoming. I know who God says I am. So I had to step away from what everybody else said and get into the truth. If you want to know the way, the truth, and the light about who you are, why don't you go and read it for yourself instead of listening to other people? I don't want to hear from these people anymore. This is why I don't go to church. You don't go to church because you don't read. I said that. Good morning. So you don't get ready by grinding harder. You get ready by getting into alignment and get rooted, get intentional get intentional with this thing. You've done survival. You've done it already. You've done sacrifice. Now it's time to do softness. It's time to do self trust. It's time to say, I love myself enough to no longer speak to myself in a harsh manner. I love myself enough to move my body because I understand that this vessel is going to take me to the next place. I love myself enough to get around a community of people to help me to unlearn those things that I didn't know any better. It was not your fault in the beginning, but it is your responsibility now to work on it. And listen, I love myself enough to go through the process and not feel like I'm a failure and it's not working because people are not applauding, but understanding that that process is going to be a solution for somebody's problem, whether they're your age or younger. Okay, I want you to start to think about it. Becoming isn't about forcing anything. It's about finally allowing who you really are to lead. Oh man, the version of you you're becoming isn't ahead of you. Come on, y'all. Y'all got to hear this. The version you're becoming isn't ahead of you. It's already in you, waiting for permission and not perfection. You're not moving because it has to be perfect. And listen, if that was the case, I started these videos in 2017. I would have stopped a long time ago. But I keep going because I understand it's part of the process. And one day I'm going to tell the story about my YouTube journey. One day I'm going to tell the story about, my journey to writing this book, Designed to Win, to the story, to my Finding Your Way series, my books, or 7 ways, Finding Your Way, 7 ways of Loving You. I'm going to tell the story. And when people want to know how to self-publish and how to start their own publishing company, guess what? I'm the answer to their problem. It's coming. You have to believe in it. You have to believe in God. You have to have faith. I'm not here. You notice I'm not here to tell you who your God is. That's not what I'm telling you. But you got to know who you're becoming isn't ahead of you. It's here. It's right now. It's when you unpeel those layers, when you allow yourself to walk in your calling and you know what you're called to do. And it may not be what your parents says. So you feel a little bit, because you may be feeling like you're going against the grain. That's what it is. When I started this coaching business, I wasn't taught this. I was taught to go to work, get a good job, and get good benefits. Okay. And I have all those things too. Right? But so this is a whole nother avenue. You can do it too. I believe in you. You know why? Because I think anybody who's seeking out knowledge and wisdom, whether it's from YouTube, whether it's from the Bible, I know you want something more. I know you're ready. So all you have to do is decide. And this is a season where you get to rise with ease, with grace, with clarity, and with joy. And if this message found the version of you that's tired of fighting just to grow, please like, share, and subscribe. Share with someone who's been trying to become by force and fight their way in and push their way in, and going negative on everything and everybody. That's not the way, and it's not going to open the doors for you. It's not. Um, and subscribe, because I'm teaching you how to win. Okay? I'm walking with you as you remember who you are, as I'm growing also into the ways of being, for the person that I'm also becoming as well. And I love you for listening. I hope you have the most amazing, amazing Sunday, and we will talk next week. Bye now.